Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Unruh, and in this exercise demonstration we're going to look at an example similar to exercise 15.7 as a way to learn about the net present value method. This is a very powerful method that you can use to determine whether or not an investment is worthwhile. And the good things about this method are that it takes into consideration the time value of money. It considers the company's desired rate of return, and the answer is in dollar terms, which allows you to compare investment alternatives to each other. For example, if you're considering 3 different investments and you're trying to choose the best one, this method will give you a dollar value at the end. The answer will be in a dollar value so that you can then compare those 3 different investment options against each other. So in this exercise, we have a company, Lindquist Company, that is trying to decide whether or not to buy a piece of equipment. That equipment is going to cost them $120,000 up front, and the company's estimating that the equipment will have a 4-year useful life. Now, one thing to understand about the net present value method is that it is based on cash flows. This method does not take into consideration net income. So I am going to cross out that column. We are not going to consider net income at all. There are other methods of looking at investments that do include the net income in the calculation, but not the net present value. So we're going to only focus on net cash flows. And another thing to understand is that we need to know the company's desired rate of return. As an IT manager or an administrative manager, you probably are not going to be the person to make that decision. Someone in finance within the organization or someone in upper management, an owner, for example, probably is going to be deciding how much, in general, the company needs to earn on its investments for the future. And that owner or that person in upper management or that person in finance will decide what is our minimum required rate of return, or what is our desired rate of return. In this exercise, we are told right down here in A that this company wants to earn at least 12% on any investment of this type. So in order to get, if we're an IT manager, for example, in order to get approval to buy this piece of equipment, we're going to have to, first of all, show that we can earn, or the equipment can earn the company at least 12% over the 4-year life of this equipment. We would also need to show that this investment is better than other options that the manager might be looking at. We won't consider that in this exercise, but in reality, this would maybe be only one of many options that the company was looking at, because most companies don't have an endless source of money to dump into projects. But again, we'll just consider this one project in this exercise. So we need to calculate the present value of our net cash flows. Let's first of all, though, look at our net cash flows. What are we talking about here? This is money, cash, that is going to be coming into the company if we buy this equipment. So, and notice that it's net. Net in accounting always means after subtracting something. So this equipment, we are expecting to do one of 2 things: either save us $90,000 in the first year, or make us $90,000 in cash in the first year, and that is after subtracting any costs to maintain the equipment, for example. It's the bottom line. After 1 year, we expect this equipment to save us or make us an extra $90,000. The second year, we expect another $85,000. The third year, another $60,000. And the fourth year, another $35,000. Let's add those up. I've already done that. The total of these is $270,000. Now, you might be tempted to say, well, that's a good deal. We spend $120,000 today, and over the next 4 years, we get $270,000 back. Yeah, that looks like a really good investment. But the problem with that decision process is that you wouldn't be taking into consideration the fact that money a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now is not worth the same as money in today's dollars. The $120,000 is today's money that we need to pay out. So we need to convert these future cash flows to present value of those cash flows. In other words, what are these 4 cash flows worth in today's dollars? In order to do that, we need to remember that the company is requiring a 12% rate of return. And we can use this table, the present value of $1 table, to make 4 different calculations to figure out what are those 4 cash flows worth in today's dollars. Let's take a minute to look at this table and see what it's doing. The way this table works, notice that it's the present value of one single amount of $1. So the way you read this, or the way I read it, is to say, okay, if we wanted $1 1 year from now, and we wanted to earn 12% on our money, how much would we have to invest today to have $1 1 year from now? And the answer is 89.3 cents. What if we wanted to instead have $1 2 years from now, and we wanted to earn 12% on our money? How much would we have to invest today? The answer, 79.7 cents. So these are what are called present value factors for $1. Well, of course, in our problem, we're not talking about $1. We're talking about these amounts of money. So we're going to multiply each of these by the factor for each year. So to calculate the present value of $90,000 1 year from now at a 12% rate, we would take $90,000 times the present value factor of 12% 1 year from now, 0.893. And we would do that multiplication problem. Hang on. Not sure why this is wrapping. Oh, here we go. All right. The answer to that then would be $80,370. In other words, if we wanted $90,000 1 year from now, and we knew we wanted to earn 12% on our money, how much would we have to invest today? $80,370. If we wanted $85,000 2 years from now, again, at a 12% rate, we would multiply that 85,000 times the 2-year factor at 12%, which is 0.797. And that answer is $67,745. We would have to invest $67,745 today if we wanted $85,000 2 years from now and we wanted to earn 12% interest. So I think you see the pattern. Third year, we're going to take 60,000 times the 3-year factor, which is 0.712. and that amount is $42,720, and the fourth year $35,000 by the 4-year factor, which is 0.636. And that amount is $22,260. We would have to invest $22,260 today to have $35,000 4 years from now if we wanted to earn 12%. So in total, how much would we have to invest today to earn those 4 cash flows over the next 4 years? And so we would add those up, and the answer is $213,095. One way to think about this is we could put this in 4 different, say, bank accounts. We could put 80,371 bank account and let it grow for 1 year, and then pull it out, and we earning 12%, we would pull out $90,000. In another bank account, we could put 67,745, let it grow for 2 years at 12% annually, and we'd have $85,000 at the end of 2 years. And do the same thing with a third pot of money, 42,720, put that in the bank today, let it grow for 3 years at 12% annually, we'd have $60,000 at the end of 3 years, and so forth. So in total, if we were going to earn 12%, and if we were going to have these cash flows in these time periods, we would have to invest $213,095. Now, we're going to use that, and notice the present value of the future of the net cash flows is always less than the future value, $270,000. So we are going to then compare this $213,095, which is the present value of our net cash flows for this project. We are going to compare that to the amount in today's dollars that we would have to pay for this machinery. We're going to subtract those two, and we get what is called the net present value of $93,095. Now, what does this tell us? Here's how I think about it. I think about it in these terms. If this project were paying 12%, we would have to invest $213,095 today to have these cash flows in the next 4 years. But this piece of equipment, we can do the same thing with this piece of equipment with only investing $120,000 today. We're going to get these net cash flows with only a $120,000 investment today. So this piece of equipment, this project, if you want to think about it that way, is $93,095 better than a project that would be earning 12%. In other words, this piece of equipment is going to return more than 12%. Anytime you have a net present value that is more than 0, in other words, that a positive net present value, that means that project or that piece of equipment is earning greater than the desired rate of return, earning more than the desired rate of return. So keeping that in mind, would management be likely to look with favor on this proposal? And the answer is yes. This looks like a very lucrative proposal. The net present value, the amount that this project is better than a 12% return, is pretty large. It's almost as much as the amount to be invested. So I would say yes. Now, the only caveat is, or the only way that it wouldn't be a good investment is if there were a better investment alternative proposed at the same time. But if this were the only thing being proposed, and if the company simply wanted to earn 12% on its money, then this would be a great deal for the company. So that's how you use net present value to determine whether or not an investment is meeting the company's requirements.